So I've heard that YouTube and a lot of these platforms are using AI to automate too much. So my the last appeal that I made on the where they pretty much essentially called me a terrorist without cause was immediately rejected, like within the minute, just auto complete, like they didn't even take the time to look at it, and they said that they thoroughly reviewed the content and decided that I violated their policies. So they're just pretty much breaking the law, and with no enforcement and standing behind Section 230. So it needs to be attention in regard to Section 230 needs to be brought to the House Judiciary committees, and Section 230 has there's been some concerns about that as of recently, evidently, and it's another issue that I want to raise with Congress, that a lot of abuse is still going on here in regard to this subject. See where it says restrictions, that says none. Well, it said checking 8 minutes, so it goes through your videos frame by frame, whatever, with AI. Evidently, that's the impression that I get. So, but regardless of what I have here, watch time 2 hours. So I've had 2.6 hours. So I've had this, and that's just for the last 28 days. And what I notice here is that I'm not allowed to review the analytics over the course of a year anymore, or something like this, in the studio. Because there are some surprising past 48 hours. Okay, so the analytics show me that they're not they're not valid. They don't make sense. So, and it's like that they're like making adjustments for something to hide what they're doing. Where I would say before, let's see if I can pause it. All right, let's see if the same thing is going on here. So now I'm outside of Studio and I'm in the YouTube app analytics. 2.6 thousand views over the history of my channel. Since it's for 3 years. So that's how aggressive these people have suppressed me. And this, like, videos like this have been up. If they involve like a hack that's been committed against me by corporate, they don't want you to see that, because corporate's involved and they know it. And any claims about violations or things that are happening to me or my opinions, and they're just out to cause problems. So my audience evidently now here is an age range, but that's funny, out of 2.6 thousand views, because they're all male. For those that report their gender. So, which is not true. It's, improbable to say the least. So they've got all these ages, right? So they're able to calculate 33, 53, and 13%. If you can think about what kind of numbers those are, to be able to have that kind of calculation, they're saying that they're all male. Now I can create, I can write a math problem that will tell you the minimum number. And if it, whatever that number comes out to be, it's going to show that this is incorrect, that they're fudging the numbers. And they're doing it on purpose. And I know they are because they had that 31 up to 34, except it was reversed. It was between Canada and Greece, which were my locations. And they're like, oops, yeah, you know, guy found out that we're just using his insignificant views like clicks or whatever and calling it the public's, because my traffic goes through Canada and Greece through my VPN. So they try to correct it by switching that around. You see how that works? These people are breaking the law. And you may say, oh, well, YouTube can inflate their income by manipulating views or view count or whatever. Yes, they can. I'll tell you how. They don't get paid directly from views, right? Because they get paid by ad revenue. Well, here's the thing, FTC. They can go to people who are trying to, you know, make deals with them. And, you know, they're going to want to know what kind of views or how many views, essentially. If it's worth handing over YouTube a deal to promote their ads. YouTube's going to say, yeah, we've got the views. Look, we inflate David's count. So that's what they're doing. And they don't want anybody to know about it. Because they're using, and they're abusing when they don't like what you talk about, when you have a political opinion that opposes theirs, or when you expose corruption.